what makes Dolly Varden what I describe as a unicorn, a silver unicorn, is the fact that where the project is located. Mexico and Peru are the number 1 and 2 silver producing nations on planet Earth. That's where most silver comes. So what makes our project so special? We have 100,000 hectares of prospective ground. Kerry, as this bull market matures, you're not going to be able to get these types of projects.
The Financial Survival Network. Now more than ever. The Financial Survival Network.
Welcome. This is Financial Survival Network, and I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. We have a major sponsor update from Shawn Khunkhun, CEO of Dolly Varden Silver. And, well, Shawn, I don't know how you've kept still for the past month. I mean, when I look at what you've done, you got the New York American listing, which has paid major dividends, stocks up. You got 3 acquisitions under your belt. You just did a oversubscribed financing, and you got a 35,000 meter drill plan that's starting to get executed. Just those are the highlights. I'm sure there's a lot more going on behind the scenes here, but why don't you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. As we were saying before we hit record, I've got a great team and a very, very, very strong technical team and a great CFO. And, look, Dolly Varden, for any of your audience who is new, of tuning in for the first time, the company is what I would describe as a bit of a unicorn in that there's only a handful of silver companies. If you talk about the uplisting to the NYSE American, there may be 10 companies on the New York Stock Exchange that are giving investors exposure to silver. Now, Dolly Varden is one of them, but that's a rare group, only 10. And then what makes Dolly Varden what I describe as a unicorn, a silver unicorn, is the fact that where the project is located. Mexico and Peru are the number 1 and 2 silver producing nations on planet Earth. That's where most silver comes. There's a big mine in Poland that silver is produced as a byproduct, and most of silver comes as a byproduct. So what makes our project so special? What I've done over the last couple of months is we've got a really strong resource base, okay, about 150 million ounces of silver equivalent, half silver, half gold, past producing mines in a prolific mining camp. And we've systematically gone out after going on to the New York Stock Exchange and after having some U.S. investors come into the stock, pushing the valuation up. We then use that stock as currency, and we've gone out. And Kerry, you know this better than anybody, there's a lot of juniors that are still struggling tremendously. And so those juniors that have no bid, have no capital, we've gone to those juniors and we've bought their silver projects in the neighborhood, in the Golden Triangle. And we cut really good deals for our shareholders. So what we did, we started in April with 15,000 hectares of prospective ground with 2 past producing mines. I stand here today in June, and today we have 100,000 hectares of prospective ground. Kerry, as this bull market matures, you're not going to be able to get these types of projects. Forget what we paid for them. You just won't be able to get them for any cost. And the fact that we also picked up 3 past producing historic, some of the highest grade silver mine in the Golden Triangle. And the fact that we did all this, we grew by over 6.5 times, and we grew with these 3 past producing mines. We did all this for 2% dilution, not a stitch of cash, and for 2% dilution. And if you look back of when we executed these transactions, the silver to gold ratio was 100-1. Today it's 90. And we just launched on the NYSE American on the back of a lot of good results from the 2024 drill campaign that were coming out in Q1. And we went out, and now the market's caught a bid in the last 30 days. But before it caught a bid, we closed the transactions. And then on the back of that, we put up a deal and we raised $28.75 million at the highest price the company's ever raised money in the history of the company. So we doubled our treasury. And again, we've done something. We've been so fortunate. We've had great shareholders. We've had good results. And we've been very fortunate. Kerry, we're a junior in a tough environment that has yet to do a down round of financing, including this last one.
Well, that is an accomplishment. And, it's amazing. You've, more than sixfold increased your land package. And honestly, the stock's doing great, but I don't think the market really has any understanding of this company, or a minimal understanding, other than the fact that it's gone up.
The market does not understand yet, because what's happened, and I've got a list of companies I track that are silver equities. And as I go through the list, the biggest producers, okay, this is your Coeur, your Pan American, your First Majestic, your biggest producers are trading at 52-week highs. Okay? Not all-time highs, but 52-week highs. Okay? But apart from your 10 primary producers, the big ones, the subcategory, so these are your small producers and your advanced explorers, your juniors, they're trading at, sort of the halfway point in terms of their 52-week low and high. And that tells me that the market has not come down. So we've got a really good gold price, almost at a record all-time high. We've got large gold equities that have been given the love, because you've got companies like Agnico Eagle, the world's largest publicly traded gold producer, that's got $300 million a month in free cash flow a month, not a quarter, not a year, a month. We're starting to hear some numbers out of gold companies that rival where some of the big banks were before the GFC. The gold stocks are the new bank stocks, okay? And for the younger audience, the silver companies are going to be companies like NVIDIA and like tech stocks. That's where we're headed. We're not there yet. It's early days. It's day one. But my point is, the market, to your point, no, the market is not crediting any of this stuff yet. It's still early days, and it shouldn't be, considering there's only been 2 times in recorded history where silver's been up at this price level. This is the 3rd time in history where silver's been here. It's actually never closed a year above $35 an ounce.
I know. It's remarkable. And I read an article quite a while ago that Eric Sprott would be the next Elon Musk when the inevitable silver and gold bull markets, and as well as base metals, copper, nickel, takes off. And hey, one day I'm going to collect on a bet somebody who told me I was nuts and didn't know what I was talking about.
Well, if Eric's Elon, I hope to be Mark Zuckerberg.
You'll settle, right? Okay. So getting down to brass tacks here, or gold or silver tacks, 35,000 meters. That's locked in, or do you think you'll go higher than that?
Well, we're going a lot higher. We're going a lot higher. And I'm just looking, I'm a process guy. I'm a data guy, right? So it's got to be data driven. It's got to be process driven. But there's a reason that I took that money. And again, we took it from Eric Sprott. We took it from our big shareholders. But I want to be in a position where if the data suggests to go and be more aggressive, we do it. And so I would like to see another 20,000 meters added to this drill program if the data supports it. And it would be the biggest program in the company's history.
And you got 4 drills turning right now?
I got 4 rigs going. They've been going for a month. Well, actually, we started with 2 rigs on May 15th. We brought in another 2 at the end of May. We've had 4 rigs turning for a couple of weeks. We've completed about 6,000 meters of drilling so far, and we should be in a place. Are you going to be at the Rule Symposium in Boca?
Absolutely. Yes, I will be there and out there. Please, I'll put a link in the show notes here. Please join Shawn and I and many others and Rick. It's always a great event, and you want to be there, especially if you're interested in Dolly Varden.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's we're at a really good place with the labs right now. Good turnaround times. It's early in the season. We got out there. We're one of the first drillers in the district, so we'll be ahead of the line.
So the acquisitions, you have 3 of them. Forgive me if I don't pronounce them exactly right. Kinskutch, Porter Project, and you bought the MTB Metals portfolio. So you alluded to that a while ago, that barely any dilution for these acquisitions, 2%. That kind of fills in some other holes, some other gaps in the land package.
But look, I'll tell you the rationale behind the move. So Kinskutch, which is a big piece of ground that our largest shareholder, Hecla, controls, was a project that's contiguous to our land package. And it was a deal where, for $5 million in stock, our largest shareholder became an even larger shareholder. So they now own 15%. The first 12.5% they owned came through them writing checks into the company, buying equity. The last 2% came through this property divestment. But they are entrusting our scientists, who've proven that they're through the studying of all the geochemistry and all the geophysics and the structural geology and the old historic mining, have been able to find new silver mines on the property. And so Hecla's entrusted our scientists to advance their project, which is a big sign of confidence from America's #1 silver producer, one of the longest listed companies on the NYSE. And then the other 2 transactions were tiny transactions. They totaled a total of about $3 million. So all in, it was an $8 million in stock for a company that's got a $400 million valuation. Very, very, minimal dilution. The other transactions, the Strike Point transactions, we brought in the Porter, Idaho, and I think you'll appreciate this. Kerry, Dolly Varden today is trading at $2 an ounce in the ground. We bought Porter, Idaho for 8.5 cents in the ground. That's an accretive deal. That's a deal for shareholders. That's a deal where, we're taking advantage of the disparity between the larger advanced explorers and the juniors, right? And that's an accretive deal. So that's a deal you do all day long when you could use $2 an ounce valuation and buy it at under 10 cents. So that's a smart deal. And then the Mountain Boy deal, when we did the deal with Fury and bought Homestake, Mountain Boy's got a really fantastic project called Thea that's contiguous to Homestake. And we have held off on advancing Homestake north because we didn't own Thea. And there's some big numbers that the Thea's got, really, really big silver numbers. But the whole Mountain Boy portfolio, this is a company that was trading up at $60-70 million valuation. We bought their whole portfolio for under $2 million.
Interesting. Going back to Kinskutch, is that Hecla effectively outsourced their exploration to you, right? Taking a bigger piece of the company, but effectively they're saying that Dolly Varden can do the job better than we can in-house.
Your words, not mine.
Well, to an untrained observer, an unsophisticated observer, that's the conclusion that you would reach, because they got this land, that they're in the silver business. They've been in it for over 100 years. And yet they're saying, well, Shawn, you take a crack at this.
Well, I'm We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Hecla. Under their previous management, their CEO, Phil Baker, Phil was our biggest advocate, supporter, funder, lead order, great visionary, built a great company there. And I'm really grateful for that support. I think now that Hecla is under new management, it's a really exciting time there because they're looking at really, focusing on their existing operations. And I think in that moment, there's an opportunity for Dolly Varden to play a role in helping streamline the advancement of this area. We could focus, we could take the lead. And I think it was a win-win deal for both companies. I think it was a smart deal for both companies. And those are the transactions that make the most sense. Strike Point was looking to focus in Nevada. So now they can focus in Nevada. Mountain Boy is looking to focus in copper in the north. So we took on their silver. In all three deals, I think in order to have success, whether it's a financing, whether it's an acquisition, you need to leave something for the other party. And, we did this financing and people are saying, Shawn, your stock looks like it wants to go to $10. Why would you raise money at, we're raising some of this flow through money at 650, 575, hard dollars at 460. Why would you raise money at an average price of $5, $5.50 when you're going to $10? And it's like, well, first of all, it's a catch-22. We need capital to advance the project, number one. Number two, I want the investors that are participating to have some meat left on the bone and be happy shareholders. Happy shareholders are good shareholders, right? You don't want to be in a situation where you go out and you raise $100 million at $10 a share, and then the stock pulls back to $7.50 and people are upset and they sell. Selling begets selling. So I've always learned in the 22 years I've been doing this, do it at a time where we're going to be putting out results. There's going to be catalysts. They have a chance to be very happy and to continue to support us.
And I just see the picture here. We don't even need to get into geopolitical. Just the market itself is really the biggest catalyst. I mean, we've known each other for several years now, and you've been making all the right moves. And now it looks like this is the moment. And that's why the uplisting with perfect timing, the acquisitions and the financing without giving, your lowest cost financing yet here in terms of dilution and in terms of cost. So it's looking pretty good here.
And I just want to say thanks, Kerry, for your support. And I think you might have known it before I knew it when we first met, where you said, hey, because you'd known the homestake asset, you'd followed it before we acquired it. And so I think, you were early on, the growth of the company and the trajectory of the company. And I think, you had as much conviction as we did about that. So thanks for your support, and I look forward to seeing you in Boca.
Hey, appreciate that, Shawn. And I suggest everybody go over to dollyvardensilver.com, sign up for notifications. I get to say the new symbol, which is DVS on the New York Stock Exchange. And of course, on the TSXV, it's DV. And Shawn, we'll see you in Boca.
Thanks, Kerry.
The Financial Survival Network.